You may remember that back in 2017, the early days of Donald Trump's first term, he promised that he would ban all trans folks from serving in the United States military. The determination of sex would be made, according to a release from the White House, on the basis of chromosomes, gonads, hormones, and anatomy. A level of specificity and detail that is both entirely appropriate to the task and also made it completely impossible. The problem being that your chromosomes, gonads, hormones, and anatomy are not in agreement about your biological sex about 2% of the time. Or sex chromosomes may not be just XX or XY. Or anatomical sex may be intersex. Or hormonal sex might be ambiguous. Or maybe one or two of those factors is simply producing a result that is the opposite of those shown by the others. And given the impossibility of meeting that standard, the test that was eventually arrived at for his military policy was sex assigned at birth. What letter did the doctor put on your birth certificate after taking a quick look at you? And make no mistake, the executive order to defend women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government is just as detached from all scientific and medical reality. And also tragically ironic, because what it is defending is an ideological agenda, one that is deeply in denial about biological truth. Now, if I wanted to go through this document point by point, just picking it apart for the utter nonsense that it is, we would be sitting here for at least an hour. So instead, I'm just going to focus on one tiny section, which is emblematic of the whole, because they can't even get their basic definitions right. Female means a person belonging at conception to the sex that produces the large reproductive cell. Male means a person belonging at conception to the sex that produces the small reproductive cell. I want to be really clear here. Those definitions are actively opposed to a scientific understanding of sex. They make no sense. Because if we take this literally, if we start at conception, then none of us possess sex. A zygote is neither male or female. But maybe you think that I'm taking this too literally. I'm being too pedantic. Their language may be imprecise and even scientifically illiterate, but clearly they mean an embryo in its early stages. In which case I would suggest we are all female. Because for the first several weeks of our existence in utero, we are all developmentally female until SRY expression begins the process to differentiate, to masculinize those of us who have an XY pair of chromosomes. And so by any scientific standard, this is headed to the exact same place where this ended up. Because the gender ideology that the Trump administration is pushing with this order is completely incompatible with the biological truth. Well, if we've learned anything from the last few years, it's that the truth is always up for renegotiation by the ideologues that actually make the decisions, so who knows what'll happen.